The British royal family, for centuries, a reflection of dignity, tradition, and unassuming strength, has again come into the focus of the world. And this time, the cause is not scandal or politics. Something much more human. A tale of healing, renewal, and tentative hope germinating after a protracted year of pain. It occurred on what appeared to be a typical autumn afternoon. The chilly October air was pierced by the soft click of camera shutters outside London's King Edward VII Hospital, the very same institution where royal life has a way of taking dramatic turns. Out of the ornate glass entrance walked Prince Edward, Duke of Edinburgh, and wife Duchess Sophie. Their trip was defined as routine, nothing out of the ordinary, just another function for a couple famous for their consistent, low-key commitment, but fate, it appears, had other intentions. When the couple were making their way toward their idling vehicle, journalists who had convened for routine shots suddenly shouted out, their voices cutting through the crisp air. One question rang out, unbridled and honest. "Your Royal Highness, is there any truth to rumors surrounding Princess Catherine?" For one heartbeat, the world stood still. Edward halted. He faced the crowds, and with the same measured, calm demeanor which has characterized his public life, he provided an answer which no palace official could have given more graciously or genuinely. She is in the early months of her pregnancy. Those 9 words, simple, direct, human, made all the difference. In minutes, the news was spreading around the globe like wildfire. Royal supporters wept outside the hospital. On social media, where royal baby joy and Catherine pregnant were trending worldwide, as millions expressed their shock and happiness. "After all the agony this family has endured," one supporter posted, "this is the light we all needed." For a monarchy that has endured one of its most challenging years, the revelation of King Charles III's cancer diagnosis, followed by Princess Catherine's own battle with illness, this moment carried the weight of rebirth. It wasn't just an announcement. It was a heartbeat of hope. Royal observers were quick to wonder, why here and why now? Why would Edward and Sophie, generally so discreet, so reserved, share something so intimate outside a hospital door? Perhaps the explanation is in symbolism. This was not an orchestrated event behind palace gates. It was natural, raw, true, a testament to the fact that behind the crowns and titles are human beings who laugh, cry, and suffer just like anyone else. For those who have watched Catherine's ordeal, the meaning was nearly mystical. In September 2024, she finished her last bout of chemotherapy at this very same hospital, the same one where Edward and Sophie stood today, to witness her family today talking of new life, new beginnings. It was poetic. Royal sources subsequently confirmed that Edward and Sophie have been 2 of the quiet strengths during this last year. When Catherine was too sick to go out, Sophie took over engagements instead. Edward maintained good contact with the king through his treatments, keeping the royal diary intact. Their presence at the hospital on the day in question was no accident. It represented continuity, loyalty, and confidence for the future. Sophie's response said everything without the need for words. Standing by her husband, she softly nodded as Edward announced the pregnancy, her expression a delicate equilibrium of protectiveness and happiness. It was a brief human moment, but one that melted hearts across the globe. This was no scripted palace statement, no tightly choreographed press conference. It was genuine emotion captured in real time. And within that sincerity, the monarchy gained something it has not possessed in years, a refreshed bond with its people. From Sydney to Toronto, from London to Cape Town, the outpouring was tremendous. Well-wishers packed the streets outside Kensington Palace. Union Jacks streamed. Flowers and handwritten letters stacked up at the gates. "Welcome back, Hope," one card said. The response, however, was not so much excitement about a royal baby. It was excitement about healing together. Following years of doubt, divisions, and loss, the public saw in this pregnancy the hope of resilience. It was a reminder of something Britain has always admired about Catherine: her grace under pressure, her quiet courage, her power to inspire without words. Royal historians report that few statements in recent history have been so warmly emotive. The monarchy, so frequently characterized by formality and reserve, now stood radiating human warmth. And maybe that's because this feels different. For hundreds of years, the royal family has experienced triumph and tragedy, much of it behind palace walls. But in this moment, outside a hospital, under the drizzly gray October sky, the history of the monarchy was being rewritten before one's very eyes. No crowns, no thrones, but a family clinging to hope after a season of sorrow. The importance is more profound than protocol or heritage. It's about renewal, for Catherine and William perhaps, but for the institution as well. A reminder that the monarchy endures not through remoteness, but through humanity. In British homes, smiles replaced tears. Families who had prayed for Catherine's recovery mouthed words of thanksgiving. Even in remote parts of the Commonwealth, the news became a mutual emotional moment, because at its core, this was never simply royal news. It was a tale of life overcoming fright. And as the golden leaves of October blew across London's streets, one truth rang through the country. In the darkest times, new beginnings are always possible. The Duchess's soft smile, Edward's firm voice, the nation's unified breath of relief. Together, they witnessed not only the start of yet another royal chapter, but the resurrection of belief in the strength of persistence. The monarchy, tried and true for so long, stood again, not as a distant memory, but as a family reclaiming its humanness. And in doing so, it reminded a fearful world that even after the storm, the light always comes back. Spring of 2026. That's when the next installment in the royal saga is set to come along. A moment potentially to reshape not just the Wales family, but the monarchy itself. The impending arrival of Princess Catherine's fourth child arrives during a time when the royal family is precariously poised between responsibility and recovery. The arrival of the child, expected to take place sometime in April or May 2026, coincides with a time of transition. Prince George transitioning into secondary school, Princess Charlotte indulging her increasing independence, and Prince Louis basking in the limitless wonder of early childhood. For the Prince and Princess of Wales, this fresh start combines personal happiness and institutional revamp. Friends of the couple paint William as an intensely hands-on dad, the sort who ducks out of palace meetings simply to get home in time for bedtime stories. Now, insiders reveal that he's already reshaping his schedule, readying himself to assume even greater parental responsibility alongside his duties as future king. The message is plain. Even future kings sometimes have to put family first, and within Adelaide Cottage, the kids are reported to be bursting with enthusiasm. Charlotte, in particular, bright, compassionate, and always maternal, apparently let friends know she can't wait to help. Louis, the family's endless energy, is set to be the freewheeling big brother. And George, growing into the reserved steadiness of his father, is already defensive, aware of what this represents not just for the family, but for the crown itself. But beneath the celebration, there is reserve. Royal physicians made it unmistakable. Catherine's health is paramount. Having withstood both cancer therapy and the debilitating morning sickness illness hyperemesis gravidarum in previous pregnancies, her doctors are not taking any chances. Palace officials quietly affirm that her official calendar will be reduced over spring, with time for her to concentrate exclusively on recovery and well-being. This child, likely seventh in line to the throne, will be born into a very different monarchy from the one of a decade ago. King Charles III's vision of a streamlined royal family, first set in motion after his coronation, has faced immense pressure through illness, scandal, and shifting public sentiment. The burden on the remaining working royals, William, Catherine, and the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, has grown heavier. And yet, this baby brings a spark of rebirth. Royal commentators believe the news has already changed the mood of public discussion. After years of headlines of loss and scandal, this straightforward happy news is a counter to that, a story of life, increase, and hope. In opinion polls after comparable royal births, national morale has typically soared, a 15% boost after Prince Louis was born in 2018, a shared sigh of optimism in troubled times. Economists even foretell a real boost. Millions in royal-inspired tourism, commemorative items, and baby memorabilia. From coffee cups to children's books to international media attention, this tiny existence will bring massive energy, financial and emotional. But the real power of this moment isn't economics. It's about continuity, legacy, renewal. In a monarchy weathered by modern scrutiny, this birth represents something timeless, that even amid chaos, the crown still grows, still evolves, still endures. Historians draw parallels stretching back centuries. Queen Victoria's 9 children once symbolized an empire's vitality, their births reinforcing Britain's sense of expansion and influence. Later, Queen Elizabeth II's 4 children, born after a world at war, embodied post-war optimism and stability. And now, Catherine's pregnancies continue in that tradition, times when individual life meets national identity. George's birth in 2013 rekindled enthusiasm for the future of the monarchy. Charlotte's birth in 2015 coincided with the historic reform, granting daughters an equal right to succession. Louis's arrival in 2018 during Brexit chaos reminded the public that happiness can still bring together a fractured nation. This fourth child's tale opens on a changed era, one of openness and humanness. Royal births are no longer shrouded in mystery, stiff palace bulletins, and remote ceremony distant memories. Now, the monarchy speaks openly, all too often directly through its humanity, a change pioneered by Princess Diana and followed by Catherine herself. Diana's own pregnancies in the 1980s revolutionized royal maternity, turning intimate milestones into moments of public shared experience, but also laying bare the emotional cost of that fame. The history of the period is not forgotten. Palace staff explained that Catherine and William are determined to shield this pregnancy from undue intrusion, striking a balance between openness and ferocious privacy. And yet, they understand that the world will be watching. When Catherine appeared in her now famous 2024 health video, pale, courageous, heartfelt, speaking about her diagnosis with cancer, it wasn't simply a message, it was a tone shift for the entire royal brand. That same honesty now guides this next chapter, where motherhood and recovery and monarchy come together. Royal commentators expect the baby to not only deepen public affection, but rekindle Catherine's role as a global symbol of resilience and maternal fortitude. Her Shaping Us project, aimed at early childhood development, is likely to branch out into new work on maternal health, translating her personal struggles into nationwide advocacy. And for the institution as a whole, there could be a profound ripple effect. King Charles, who had dreamed of a leaner, meaner royal family, might view this birth as symbolic reassurance that no matter how the monarchy changes, its line is unbroken. From a wider perspective, this baby's arrival can quietly revive younger generations' attachment to the royals. Surveys already reveal growing interest among Gen Z viewers in Catherine and William's contemporary, down-to-earth parenting style. One that mixes obligation with love, regimen with affection. Even economists are referring to this as the royal spring effect. With anticipated tourism booms, retail activity, and social activity, the monarchy again proves itself to have a cultural draw, not with spectacle, but with humanity. However, challenges persist. Privacy and public life will have to be in delicate balance. Speculation online, fueled by the insatiable appetite of social media, needs to be handled carefully. The communications team at the palace has apparently drawn up strict media guidelines to shield Catherine and the children from intrusive media attention, but at the center of this tale is something more basic and much stronger. This pregnancy is more than a news headline to the Wales family. It's a reminder of what matters most: love, healing, and reconciliation. Following years marked by sickness and fatigue, laughter is coming back to the royal palaces. In Adelaide Cottage, the nursery has been reportedly created with sustainability in mind, mirroring William's life's work environmental goal: natural paints, recycled materials, solar power, a subtle reminder of the values they want to leave behind. Royal reporters predict the toddler may eventually follow in the footsteps of previous low-key supporters, maybe an understanding figure like Princess Anne or a calm figure like Prince Edward. But meantime, the country doesn't require forecasts. It just needs this, a flash of calm, happiness, and shared renewal. As historian Hugo Vickers so eloquently phrases it, new life reaffirms the monarchy's place in an ever-changing Britain, and that is what this baby symbolizes, a beat of hope in a world far too dominated by doubt. From the palace doors to humble homes all over the land, the mood is one and the same. After adversity, after sickness, after uncertainty, the royal tale finds illumination once more. And as spring arrives, the world will witness not only a birth, but a rebirth of family, of faith, and of the indomitable spirit of the crown.